Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, joined today by Cowboy Coach Jon Anderson in the house. How we doing, John?
Doing great, Mark. Doing great.
All right, this is one of our Thursday episodes, and we are diving into a very intentional topic. It's something I've actually talked with a lot of our guests about, and we're diving into intentional training today. It should be a vibrant conversation. If you haven't turned off the podcast already, based on that, stick with me, right? Bear with me. This is an important topic. Here's what we found. I've been in the game a long time, selling professional services, selling training. I've sold projects that are hundreds of thousands of dollars down to $5,000 a person. I've sold training projects into companies that literally we're like really intentional, like one to Murphy Brown back in the day, where the intention on the backside of a training process targeted around teaching the farrowing process in English and Spanish on an iPad, right? Like, how boring does that sound? But at the time, it was like 2009 or 10. And so that was groundbreaking at the time. And we wanted Spanish-speaking employees to be able to understand training, through training, the nuances of the farrowing process. And so we developed a 5-part series that was in English and Spanish. So a non-Spanish speaking manager could properly train a Spanish speaking employee. And the goal, the metric that they had in place, was to raise pigs per litter from 15.1 to 15.2. That was the metric. That was the goal. Isn't that interesting? So there was intention behind it, and they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were buying. They knew why they wanted to implement it. And there was going to be a measurable piece that they would take a look at down the road and take that snapshot and say, hey, are we getting a better rate, pig per litter rate, than we were before we did the intervention? Now, obviously, there's a lot of things that can influence whether you're going from 15.1 to 15.2. You can't always isolate the specific thing, but that was what they're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the goal. So the topic of today is diving into this concept around training your people. As an intentional leader, you know that you've got to develop your people. You know that you've got to develop your team. Here's the reality, and this is what we found, at least in my world, after 15 plus years of selling professional services, mostly training into the ag space. If you're in leadership, nobody probably ever taught you how to buy training. This is a skill set you have largely made up and done out of necessity, and probably cannot show me your SOP on how you go about qualifying whether or not somebody is a good training vendor for your company, why you need to do that training, who needs to do that training. And John and I are going to dive into this, and we've got the numbers to back it up. So we're gonna share a little bit of that with you. John, you've been on the delivery end of a lot of coaching over the last decade, a lot of coaching, a lot of training, and a lot of manager calls, right? So you end up in one-on-one conversations with managers who write the checks to us. What are you seeing? What are some of the frustrations that these guys and gals talk about from a training perspective when it comes to making investments in their people?
Some of the feedback I've gotten is like, how do we measure the effectiveness of the training? Like, what are we actually getting out of the training? How is the training being, what are the results of the training? Mm-hmm. And also another one that's been coming up lately is, how do we deliver that training in an effective way that actually engages the folks?
I'm glad they're finally paying attention to that instead of just slapping it into a stupid PowerPoint. It legitimately, when I think about metrics of my career, if it like one winning metric, let's say 30 years from now when I'm all done, okay, and I'm 74 and I'm just going to go work on my own little farm. If slapped together last minute training was so far below everybody's standard that nobody did it anymore, then I would feel like we accomplished something. And whatever little contribution I had to that, or we had to that as a company, like I would love that to be one of them. Just so that death by PowerPoint no longer exists, guys. It's just, stop doing it. Stop staying up late the night before, slapping info into a PowerPoint that nobody's going to enjoy. Just show up and just ask them questions, and then have your teaching points on a one-pager right beside you that you can share. right? It's just that right there is a much more effective way to do training than just throwing it on a PowerPoint. And this is what we do. This is what we do with training. We herd everybody into a room, 8:00 in the morning. We put a bunch of coffee on. We feed them a bunch of sugar. We put a bunch of donuts and cookies and crap in the back of the room. It's like coffee, cookies, and crap. That's what they should call it. That's like the order, right? And then what happens to your brain as it gets loaded up with all that sugar is it's good for about an hour, but you start at 8:00, by 9:30, people are starting to fall asleep on you. And just like eyes glaze over. Nobody argues with me when I say this. So I'm assuming that I'm not in an echo chamber and most everybody else is experiencing this too. So I'm glad people are starting to take a look at like, how do you actually make training better? That's one of the things I wanted to dive into a little bit on not, I don't think we can get too much into the how today, but that right there would be the simplest thing you can do. Write down your teaching points and then go ask people questions about where they're challenged with your thing. Mm-hmm. And then share once they state that they have a problem with something that you can solve. Now just show, right? This is what we can do.
Yeah. As you're saying that, Mark, I'm just reminded of all the conversations that we've had during our events, like in the back of the room or the side conversations. And what I get is this feeling of a lot of training is fly by the seat of pants, make it up, like you said, the night before in the hotel room, or throw some quick slides together and then make sure they have the coffee, the sugar, and whatever else you said. Make sure that they got that in there and then it's good enough. And it's like it's just a box to check. Yeah. There's not a real intentional thought about what are we actually trying to accomplish, rather than, hey, we're getting everybody together. We're just going to talk about a couple of PowerPoints and just check that box so we can all continue going on with our day, calling customers or doing all the other things. That's what it feels like. And that's the feedback that I get a lot from talking to a lot of folks that we engage with every day.
I'm reminded of a Snapchat I received 7 or 8 years ago. This is a long time ago, but a Snapchat from one of our former participants who went to a new company and is now going through their sales training. And about 4:00 in the afternoon, and she texts me a Snapchat of a Bud Light right next to her, the training binder. And they're like, and she literally says to me, we didn't get Bud Light at your event. And I immediately responded back. I'm like, is it that bad? They have to feed you beer to get a good rating, right? Let's pass out the Bud Lights and the Busch Lights and whatever else, like right before we do the performance review, because that's going to boost it. Like, it will, right?
They'll probably incentivize folks to show up to these meetings, right? Hey, come for this meeting. We'll serve you beer and alcohol. Have a good time after the meeting. Hopefully you remember something we talked about that I can say it was a good meeting.
It's legitimately, corporate training has become like a golf meet, right? Mm-hmm. Where nobody goes to the golf meet to play good golf. They go to drink.
100%.
Right? And I feel like training has become the same thing. Is, hey, I'll go tolerate 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of PowerPoints and droning conversation that's not that good in order to get access to the free bar and a free night or two in a hotel.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate dark side is, so a lot of our people that we're serving in ag are really like, work-life balance is very stressed. Mental health is very stressed. Relationships are often very stressed. And so I don't mean to paint like a total bad picture. It's not all bad, but there is we do find a lot of our people struggle with these things, right? And so it's almost like getting to go to a training or go somewhere, whether it's sponsored by the company or sponsored by the vendor or whatever, has become a way and a place to escape for a couple of days for some of these guys. And it's just, I have my own hotel room. I'm away and there's no kids. There's no wife. There's no husband or whatever. I can go and have some time. But then they spend the whole time just not fully engaged, not getting the most out of it. And companies are investing dollars in this, but they're not often. They're not doing it in a way that actually nets ROI. Quick interruption to the podcast here. Listen, at the end of the day, most of you have been through some sort of training and development. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably interested in personal and or professional development. And here's the reality. In the corporate space, most of it's bad. Let's be honest. Most of it has been a death by PowerPoint situation that really doesn't progress you, your team. It doesn't move the needle. It's not aligned to business priorities. That is why I really am asking you to take a look at the Thriving Leader program. In the show notes below, go to the link and click through to our Thriving Leader website. The Thriving Leader was designed with the learner in mind. Adult learners today don't need another death by PowerPoint situation. They don't want to waste their time going to a training, being at an event that doesn't actually get them the results and that isn't actually relevant to where they are in life. The three biggest challenges that leaders have today are time management, stress, and work-life balance. The Thriving Leader works to solve those and so many more things. Click on in the link in the show notes, learn about the Thriving Leader, and join us at an upcoming public event and see what it's all about. We believe that today's leaders hold a moral obligation to create environments within which their people can thrive. Whether you're the one leader on your team or whether you're the leader of 10, 20, or more, it's time to see what you can do to create an environment within which you and others can truly, truly thrive. 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now, the time will have gone by. The question I have for you is, during that time frame, are you surviving or are you thriving? Click the link today.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I find that to be a real problem. Some of y'all are going to think I'm super negative or super down on all this, or you think that your thing is better, and we're just talking about that. And that's not my intention, guys. But I do want to paint a very real picture. We've been doing some research for a new project that we're working on here at the Momentum Company and doing the business analysis before we launch this new product to you guys. And to give you some idea, take it out of the ag context, but just look at small to mid-sized businesses with a minimum of 50 employees. And so that will capture most of you. A lot of you actually have less than 50 employees as well that listen to this, and that's okay. You still get captured in this, within these numbers. So the training market for small to mid-sized businesses in America, which is about 300,000 businesses across the continent, is $85 billion. It's a lot, John. That's a lot of money. $85 billion that gets dumped into employee development every year.
I could buy a lot of farm ground for that, Mark.
How much farm ground could we buy? How many tractors could we buy? Like how much, like we could get some really nice side-by-sides, John. We could get matching ranches.
Or we could. That'd be fun.
Okay. It's an $85 billion market. And that encompasses a lot of things. I'm not going to go into the details of what makes all that up, but this is dollars that get allocated. Now, there's costs not included in that, by the way. So that's just spent. That's how much is getting invested into companies like ours. And we're glad to be a part of that. And we've got our tiny little 0.000 something sliver of that pie.
That's not including like the hotel rooms or the travel.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is what it costs for a trainer to come in and implement the program.
Yeah, and that's not including like yes, like you said, travel, hotel, food, the cost of your people being not working for the day.
We're probably much greater than that.
It's a much, much bigger problem, or a much bigger budget. Now, here's the interesting thing. I want to cite these numbers correctly. So 67% of the companies in that group that we talk about buy training without clear learning objectives. So they know that they need to do it, but they're doing it unintentionally. Or they feel intentional, if that makes sense. Like the feeling is we know that we got to invest in our people. We know that we got to do training, and they make the investment, but they don't actually have marked learning objectives that we're teaching against.
So they're just buying it, to my point earlier, they're just buying it almost just across to check the box saying, hey, we did it for our people. Awesome. Now we can say we did it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We bought a learning management system. We gave them access to LinkedIn Learning. We could even lump us in with this, right? We gave them a ticket to Thriving Leader. We invested $5,000 a person or whatever into that so they can go to Thriving Leader, plus travel, plus et cetera. So, I'll be honest, like this comes up in my sales conversations when I'm talking with folks, and I'll ask business leaders when we sit down to have the conversation and do discovery. If you're going to make an investment in your team, what needs to be better or different a year from now for that to have been a worthy investment? That's a common question that I ask during people development. Excuse me, during discovery around people development. And I would venture to bet, John, at least 90, probably 95% of the leaders I'm talking to, that's the first time they ever thought about it.
Mm.
So that's the first time that they really thought what. So most training is getting bought reactively. Okay. Salespeople aren't closing enough, so we need to do sales training. People aren't getting along, so we need to have an offsite for team development. Whatever, pick your thing. It's usually a symptom. It's communication is poor, so let's do communication training. Time management is poor, so let's do time management training. And retention is dropping, yeah. So we got to do something, right? And that's so most training gets bought reactively to a symptom. It's I have a headache, so I'm going to go get the Aleve.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of why do you have the headache? Did you drink water yet today? Let's go back and look. The leading indicator of not having headaches generally, like I'm not trying to, people get migraines and there's all kinds of other reasons people get headaches, but most headaches are just a lack of water. Mm-hmm. We know that. So have you properly hydrated? And that's just a part of training regimens, right? Is train yourself to drink water. Okay. And we could do this. We're missing, most organizations are missing the leading indicator on training. And so it makes me wonder, does the market have to be 85 billion? Should it actually be lower if we took a step back and actually informed ourselves first on what training we need to do, what actually needs to be better or different? And as I look across, let's just say there's 100 people in my organization. What percentage of them actually need the specific training? Or if let's just take a sales team of 20 people. So the sales team's got 20 people. That's a common number we run into. What percentage of them actually need the specific training that you're offering? Or are we just doing it because we don't want to leave anybody out?
Right.
And what business driver is it attached to? So I'm throwing out things that over the last 15 years of doing this that frustrate the heck out of me, because after this much time, like I'm not interested in going and selling a deal for the sake of selling a deal. Mm-hmm. Like you and I are both way beyond that. There's a point in time where it's like we felt so god awful lucky to be out there, like just doing what we are passionate about doing, what we're doing. We're just happy. We know it's making an impact. We can't really tell you how, but we're here. So we're just going to give it the college best, give it the good old college try. And we're just well beyond that. Like we're a mature organization from a delivery perspective. We know if we don't deliver results, then we don't get to stay. Hell of a lot easier to sell a customer and continue to work with a customer year over year because they're happy and growing because of what you do than it is to have to go sell a new one every year. It's like, how much more work, John, is it to get to know another group of 20 people every single time we onboard a new client?
So much more work, so much more time and energy it takes to develop the rapport and get them going to a spot where they can succeed and start over and over again. Starting to it's like working out for a few months and then taking a few months off. Just lose this 20 pounds over and over again. It's like, it gets hard for us too, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm glad. Obviously, we're glad to onboard new coaching clients and get to know your people and all that. So that's not the point. The point is, if you as the buyer know what you want going into it, and you have some key metrics that you want to measure as a result of doing some sort of intervention, training intervention with your people. Probably shouldn't use the word intervention. That's got a negative context these days. There's nothing wrong with your people, but if you want to invest in them so that they exhibit some behavior better than they were exhibiting it, and that's part of their growth plan, and you decide to do training, like it's helpful for us to know what those things are. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you get together with your leadership team and sit down and think it through? Hey, we know that we got to develop our people. What are the behaviors that we want to enhance? What are the ones we want to keep? What are the ones we want to train out? And that way, at least 6 months from now, a year from now, we can sit down and say, okay, did the behaviors get enhanced? Are the ones that we're trying to keep, are they growing? And are the ones that we don't want anymore, are they showing up less? Mm-hmm. That'd be a simple framework, right?
Yeah. A lot of times we have to help them understand what that is too. I've talked to a lot of leaders and it's like, hey, like what would make this a worthy investment of of your time and your people's time. And they're like, I don't know, I just want a more positive team. Okay, what does that mean? Like a more positive team. Like, what does that look like in real life? And we could, okay, someone's smiling a little bit more. Is that what it is? What is it? What is it really? And when we push back a little bit, a lot of these folks don't really know. So they need a little bit of help to figure out, like, what is it that I really actually want?
Yep.
What am I really after with this training or trade?
I think the research said, 58%, John? 58% never actually measured if training actually changed behavior. So they make these big investments in people. I'm talking tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they never actually measure it.
Yeah. That's wild.
It is wild. From our end, it makes it easier, actually, because we assign it. We will go, we do this all the time. Here's what you should be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like in our manager calls, we literally go in and say, here's what we've been talking about. Here's what we're covering next month. Here's the coaching questions for you to coach your people on what we're teaching them. That's literally what we're doing for our clients right now. We're giving managers the coaching calls or coaching conversations, the coaching questions to ask their people so that they will actually hopefully go and have the conversation. I would love to know how many are actually doing it and following through on it.
That'd be an interesting question.
I think we need to ask the managers that question going forward.
Yeah.
Give you the tools. Like we're training your people. B, we're telling you how to reinforce it internally once we're done or when we're not on the coaching call with your folks. What are you doing? So I think that's an interesting little thing. And as you guys are listening to this, I hope you're picking up on not just the fact that we have opinions on how training should be done and how people should be measuring it better, but these are simple things you can do to change the game. So if you're going to make it, you know that you got to train your people. We all have to train our people. Like we're never not training. John and I are constantly training each other, right? And giving each other feedback. We're doing little drills as a company, getting better all the time. So we have to constantly be developing. As you make those investments, if you're investing in people, you should be expecting minimum 4-to-1 return on investment. So if I invest 100, I get 400. If I invest $1 million, I should get $4 million. So, I mean, it's just like at the bottom end. And depending, like if it's a sales conversation, we can easily 10x an investment in a salesperson or 100x in some cases, depending what the situation is, right? And it depends if you want to measure top line or if you want to measure profit, but you figure out how to break it down. What's the cost of not losing a salesperson? Is the retention better on the people that we want to keep? I remember years ago, Purina had a high turnover with their LPSs, right? Mm. It's something like 60% in the first year, and we helped them drop it to 40 in the first year of working these people through the Thriving Leader. So there's a clear indication that the Thriving Leader program helped that individual company drop unnecessary turnover. Something like that. Here's some other interesting data. 84% of companies provide the same training to everyone, regardless of whether everybody needs it or not.
The cookie cutter approach, right?
Yeah. It's like, part of it is like, historically, we haven't had a way to know who needs it and who doesn't need it. And we say, I'm paying for it. I might as well put as many people in the room as I can get. So if it's not like, we always charge on a per person basis. So we're only getting the people that they know they want to invest in. But if we're going in and just it's one daily rate to have the trainer come in for a day or 2 days, and the cost is the same no matter how many people you put in the room, we might as well put them all in the room, right? That's the mentality, which I think is way wrong. Yeah. Just personal opinion. Put the people in who need to be there and know what you're expecting them to get out of it. And yeah, you're going to get lucky on a few, but that will just be confirmation bias. You don't actually know what you're netting out just by putting more people in the room.
Yeah. And actually it can work against you and the trainer or the program or whatever, right? Because you got some of the folks that don't need it and don't want to be there, and they're going to be a distraction and a hindrance to the folks that could actually benefit from it. So you're probably actually working against yourself by just using a cookie cutter approach, put everybody in this program just because we're paying for it. Everybody must go through it. Well, there is a time and place for like training for everybody, but if we could be a little bit more specific and intentional about who needs it, what would be the ROI on that?
Yeah, big time. So anyway, these are problems that we're working to solve. We've been going deep on this. The advent of AI has given us the upper hand to be able to go and solve this. We just ran one assessment across a team of 20 people with a mid-sized ag retailer and came up with 100 pages of data, which is way too much. We had to pare it all down to make it make sense, both for us and the client. But we found out some things. Like we found some people that are flight risks. There's some potential turnover. There's maybe some turnover that should happen. There's lack of role clarity that can be easily adjusted and trained to. So the days are numbered where this problem has to be an actual problem. And that's something that we are working on. It's one of the reasons Jon and I wanted to jump on and riff on this topic a little bit today and share with you guys, because I don't know that a lot of people are sitting around and thinking about this as a problem. But what I'm excited about is the day is coming now, or the day has come, where we can actually get a lot more, accurate with the applications, and then be able to measure whether training is getting people the behaviors that they want or not.
Yeah. I think as coaches and trainers and facilitators and speakers, like we keep our ears to the ground and figure out like what's everybody else doing, what's working, what's not working. And from my perspective, I don't know if you're hearing the same things, is there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of coaches, trainers, companies out there that are trying to just fit as many people into their program as possible. And hey, how many people can I fit into this one Zoom call so I don't have to work as much so I don't have to put as many hours during the week or during the day as I need to, or whatever I have to, and I like this approach. You've been phenomenal at working on the research and coming up with new ideas and really put your ear to our clients of really, what is it? So we are, instead of putting more folks in the Zoom calls or whatever in the program, it's how can we be more intentional, right? And then how can we actually make transformation, not just butts and seats, but like make real transformation inside of these people's lives, inside of these companies. Yeah, that's what I liked about this whole approach and where we're going. How do we make a real impact?
Yeah, big time. Love it, man. So our approach, just for those listening, if you're still here and want to have some input on what we create with this, or want to get your eyes on it, we're able to develop very tailored, hyper-personalized individual growth plans and even strategic learning designs for entire organizations. If that's of interest, shoot me an email and I will. I'm actually looking for input from people right now on how would be best received from organizations, from your company, from you, what that would look like. But just know we're moving into the space of hyper personalized learning and development and growth plans. And this is, we're doing it. We're starting to wade into this, and I'm excited to see where it lands us. So I'm going to keep that super vague for the time being. If you want to know more, you got to email me. And it's mark@themomentumcompany.com. Just shoot me an email.
So I love it. I'm excited about it. Super cool.
You bet, man. All right, dude. Thanks for doing the call today. This is fun diving in and chatting about this. I'm glad that I feel like, if nothing else, I got to air my grievances about the training industry and how we can make it better. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.